Hey guys, Miranda here. Today I wanted to do a video for you on Ranger bands. Ranger bands, for those of you that don't know, are super strong rubber bands that are made out of bicycle inner tube. The easiest way to do this is, in fact, the first thing I will say is don't use an old inner tube that you've pulled out of a bicycle because it had a flat, because that rubber will already be compromised by dry rot. You want to buy a brand new inner tube and just cut the valve off. You end up with good, fresh, vulcanized rubber that's very strong. And in the context that we're going to be using it today is as an alternate source for mounting lights. This is my 10-3. This is my go-to rifle, and it's got a WML, my absolute favorite rifle light of all time. And it's got a aimpoint A2 on it, which allows me to look right over the top of the WML, so no problem. What I like is to set up a rifle that's extremely light, like this one here. This rifle, as you see it, weighs in at 5 pounds 8.9 ounces, so just slightly over 5.5 pounds. Long before there were lighting systems, there were things called flashlights, and people added flashlights to their weapons. What I'm getting ready to do here is take a ProTac 1L from Streamlight and pop the pocket clip off. And the reason for that is when you take the Ranger bands and you cut them, originally when I did this, I cut very wide swaths of Ranger band, and these bad boys here were peeling back my fingernails when I was trying to get them over the front end of the gun. What I ended up doing was cutting a bunch of smaller bands, and it created what I needed in regards to the tension on the light. If your rifle will stand, like this one will, you can stretch it, or as we say here in Tennessee, scratch it, and just walk it over the flashlight. And you repeat this step multiple times. Instead of 1 or 2 great big fat ones like this, you put 6, 7, 8, 9 Ranger bands on there. It does 2 things. The first thing is, it does a great job of holding your light nice and stiff. The second thing is, if you're out in the field doing whatever, and you find yourself in need of retaining a piece of equipment, for any number of reasons, you can peel off a Ranger band and use it, and you still have extras. Alright, I've got probably 6 or 7 on now. Alright, so what I want to show you is, now you have a light. As you guys know, I'm a lefty. Now you've got a light that's lined up right where you need it to be. And the reason I like the ProTac 1L when it comes to an improvised weapon light above anything else is I think they call it 10 click. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold. If you go double tap, it goes into strobe mode. If you solid on, it goes into high mode, which is 185 lumens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold. And now the light is in high only mode. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold. Now the light is in low, low, high. For rifle use, I would put it on only high mode. So there. So now I give it a partial press, I get high, and I let it off, or solid on, and I can do things one-handed. 5 pounds, 10.5 ounces. So let's just go ahead and run it up to 5 pounds, 11 ounces. So, you know, we gain a few ounces, not that big a deal, and you have a weapon that's completely set up. For those of you that are interested in using something with a little more juice, the answer to the question that I know you've already got in your head is, can I use my Surefire Fury? Yeah, you can, but here's the problem. The Surefire Fury, because of the bezel design, is not going to lay flat. You can already, I don't even have to put the Ranger bands on, you can already see what the problem is. So what you're going to have is light weighing it off in that direction, and it'll lose your point of aim, point of impact very quickly. The other reason I like this light is if I want it on the other side, all I've got to do is walk it over. Like that. And now the weapon is set up for the righty. Any light that has an even circumference, like the Infor 6VT, 6VX is going to work great on that, but remember, lights of this length are going to start dragging your hand further and further back on that hand guard. The reason I like it here is it also hooks right up against the front side post, and it stabilizes itself there, so you can drive as hard as you want forward and the light is not going to go forward. You're not going to lose it. Understand that I've done this before, so I'm not preaching to you something that I haven't tried. The concern that I know that some of you have is the heat from the barrel going to hurt your, is it going to hurt the Ranger bands? The answer to that is no, because this is vulcanized rubber. For those that don't know, vulcanized rubber is essentially heat-treated rubber, and the way it's done is it's super hot scalding water is run through a form, and it takes the rubber from a very elastic form and it solidifies it and makes it not so much impervious but very resistant to heat and cold, but it also makes it extremely strong, which is why it's very good for inner tube. I was just about ready to close this video a little while ago when I realized there was one more thing I wanted to show you. My favorite light, as I mentioned earlier, is the Enforce WML, but the Enforce WML requires a Picatinny rail segment to adhere. The KMRs are nice because they have, the BCM KMRs are nice because they have Picatinny, I'm sorry, they have KMR slots everywhere, especially on these angles, you know, the flats. The problem with the flats is when you put a rail segment there, unless you're dealing with something that has a very small clamp, it can't get around that rail segment because of the top rail. And I like it here, and we all know this angle, okay? This angle is the impact weapons component, the offset mount, because it works well for the ergonomics. But what I figured out was if you take a WML and just slide it there on the flat right there, and take the Ranger bands and wrap it around, it holds it steady. Yes, it moves, but the shoulder of it is right up against that front side post, so it doesn't matter how hard you push forward. And I'm pushing in very hard on the WML, and it's not going anywhere. Just as before, you could crank it over and walk it over to the other side. So you end up with a light that has the ability to be NAMBY. But just wanted to show you guys one more way that you can use Ranger bands to attach your favorite light. So anyways, that's what I have for you guys today. As always, I thank you all for watching. God bless you all. Get those guns out in practice. Have a good one.